Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good day. Okay, to begin with, we are looking into the aerospace standards AS9100D. Okay, what is aerospace standards? What are the definition behind it? Which aerospace sector is applicable to these particular standards that we are going to look into today's session? Right? What is actually AS9100? Okay, the SAE, Aerospace Standard AS9100D, Quality Management Systems, requirements for aviation, space, and defense organizations. So if you look here, it is a quality management standard. It is slightly equivalent to the ISO 9001. And it is a quality management system standard for the aerospace industry. When we talk about aerospace industry, it include the aviation, the space, as well as the defense sector. Basically, this particular standard, AS9100, being used by the aerospace companies all over the world. It is like a system that to ensure the quality is at par with one another. All right, it is an international standard. It is derived from the ISO 9001, the normal ISO 9001 2015, which is the quality management system standard for any industry. Okay, but in aerospace we have this AS9100D. Okay, and it is in its entirety along with additional aerospace and defense specific requirements. So basically, a company that would like to engage in business, whether to supply, whether to do maintenance, or whether to get certain contracts with regards to design of aerospace components, right? Is best to have. It's not something that like voluntary. It is a compulsory requirement. It is all aerospace industry that want to do business in aerospace sector. It is compulsory to have this particular um, certification AS9100. In terms of the benefits, what are the benefits to the companies? What are the benefits to the industry as a whole? Where we know that AS9100D is an ideal quality management system for facilities that are serious about quality, because it is a document that will require the company to be able to trace all of its supply chain, the documentation, the manpower, and the process of doing the business in aerospace. So it provides a competitive edge for the companies. Let's say one company doesn't have AS9100, another company has AS9100. Normally, in aerospace business, they will choose the company that has the certification, right? And the AS9100D 2016 is the latest certification, because normally the standards being revised regularly. Okay, and this particular standards of registration gives the facility the benefit of an objectively evaluated and enforced quality management system, meaning that any company that has this certification, whether it is AS9100 or ISO 9001, we can really see the quality process, quality documents, quality output from the company, because it is being audited by external parties. In terms of the facilities that operates AS9100 exhibits, so what kind of company, when we look at a company that has this certification, AS9100 certification, is basically there are few here. The philosophy of prevention rather than detection. Okay, it is is not reactive. It is proactive. So a company that has exhibit or having the certification will have a culture or a process to do prevention, something that going to happen that is not aligned with the quality, okay, in order to produce defect and also accident, for example. So AS9100 will be able to be used to do prevention rather than detection. And then the second element here is that risk management of potential concern. So a company that have AS9100 will have a risk management process. So they can really look into in terms of what are the potential risks to the company, to the people, as well as to the process. And it also require continuous review of critical process points, meaning that a company that have AS9100 will be needed to look into continuous improvement, right? So they have to relook continuously in terms of their critical process, that sometimes what makes some process delay. So how can we improve in terms of producing a components or doing certain process for the business. So AS9100 will of course benefits in terms of the continuous improvement activity. And the fourth element here, the facilities that operate AS9100 will exhibit corrective actions as well as outcomes, and is also consistent communication within the process, okay, and among facility, suppliers, as well as the customers. So in the document, in the AS9100 standard, it require a continuous effective communication, okay, within the process, within the business owner, the suppliers. You need to have a continuous communication. There's no breakdown over there. If it is a breakdown of communication, it will then affect the business process, all right? And then of course, in terms of record keeping, thorough record keeping and efficient control of critical documents. So what we mean by thorough record keeping is that all information related to the process, related to the procedure, the SOP, the material document, everything has to be kept in order, so that for example, like the customer or the auditors would like to see how the record keeping being done. You can easily trace as well as provide all the necessary documents. And of course, in terms of the efficient control, you want to make sure who keep the latest document, and how the company prevent from employees using obsolete documents. So the next item is that about total quality awareness by all employees. It's not about the management. It's not about top management. It's not just about the owner of the company. It goes from the number one to the shop floor workers, even to the people who clean the facilities and so on. They are also having awareness of the standards. And we also look into a high level of executive management in terms of confidence and support for the AS9100. Let us look into the quality management principles. There are 7 quality management principles being applied in the AS9100 that we look into the customer focus. So the standards will look into customer focus. It also touch upon leadership, engagement of people, process approach, improvement, evidence-based decision making, as well as the relationship management. So if we look one by one, what do we mean by customer focus? So if we look into the definition, the description here, customer focus is looking into organizations that depend on their customers and therefore should understand current and future customer needs, right? So should meet customer requirements and strive to exceed customer expectation. So basically, the business being run in terms of looking at the customer requirements rather than looking at the business owners requirements. What you can do in terms of to fulfill the needs of the current customer as well as the future customers. So customer is very important in this particular aspect. And then we look into the leadership, the second quality management principles in AS9100. Okay, so leaders establish unity of purpose and direction of the organization. So they should create and maintain the internal environment in which people can become fully involved in achieving the organization's objective. So basically, the management, especially the leader can be the CEO, can also be the head of engineering, can also be at the shop floor leader or supervisors. Leaders at all levels has to establish unity of purpose and direction of the organization. So basically, it should maintain well in terms of the internal environment, okay, so that everybody can get involved. Everybody is contributing to the achievement of the organization's objectives. And then the third item here I would like to put is the engagement of people. All right. So what we want to say here is that competent, empowered, and engaged people at all levels. Just now we talk about leadership. The AS9100 company must have a leadership in place. Okay, and at the same time they have a continuous engagement with the people, which has the following characteristic, which are competent, empowered, and engaged people at all level are the essence of the organization and drive the organization ability to create and deliver value. All right, and then the company also has these elements of a process approach, and the desired results are achieved more efficiently when activities and related resources are managed as processes within a coherent system, right? As a process approach. And then improvement of the organization's overall performance should be an ongoing focus of the organization. Of course, you may already have a standard process, the procedure to do certain activity. Okay, from time to time, the organization must have conducted. They have to do continuous quality improvement in order to uh, increase the overall performance. And the next principle is about evidence-based decision making. Okay, decision based on the analysis of data and information is more likely to deliver desired results. Okay, and then finally, the relationship management, where an organization and its external interested parties are interdependent and share a role in each other's success. Okay, those are the 7 quality management principles for AS9100 standards. Okay, so it is, if you look into the standards, it has very detailed description of all of the quality management, and they have what we call it as the high level structure. So you have the scope, the normative references, the term and definition, context of organization, and then you talk about the leadership, planning, support, operation, performance evaluation, as well as the improvement. I'm not going to go through all of this, but we want to touch upon the important elements of AS9100. Okay, so here the basic principle of quality management system, where you have a PDCA. Okay, you have a plan, you have a do, you have check, as well as you have act. In any quality organization, you have these four elements. You have plan, do, check, and act. So PDCA. So whenever you're being asked whether you know about AS9100, yes, it is a. You may say yes, you have been exposed for AS9100 for aerospace quality management system, and it based on the four quality um, management activity, which is including the plan, do, check, and act. Okay, so on the plan side, you have the section 4, 5, 6, and 7. The do is the operation, number 8, and the check, the performance evaluation, and finally the act is on the section number 10. Okay, so when we talk about AS9100, we also look into the risk-based thinking. Okay, it is basically risk-based thinking is something we all do automatically, and often subconsciously, okay, to get the best results, right? So the concept of risk has always been implicit in ISO 9001. So this edition, okay, the one that we are discussing today, it is more explicit and built into the whole management system. So the risk-based thinking ensures risk is considered from the beginning and throughout. It is not something that you tackle a problem when it has already happened. All right, it is basically makes prevention part of the strategic and overall planning. So imagine you have a process, you do not have a risk-based thinking, you just run the procedure, and suddenly there's a incident or accident or something not proper happening. So and then you take action on it. So that is what we call it as reactive, where you solve the problem when it's already happened. But in risk-based thinking, you try to make a plan so that the problem would not occur in the strategic and operational planning. In terms of implementation consideration, when you use a risk-driven approach throughout your organizational process, you can identify and prioritize what the risks are in your organization. So it depends on the context, product or process complexity, or you can also look into organizational complexity. And what is acceptable, what is unacceptable. So basically, you don't list down all the process, you don't list down all the procedure that are available in the company, but you may want to prioritize. You identify the main elements of your business, and what are the main product, what are the main processes that are has potential um, problem, potential breakdown. Okay, and then of course, when you look into the implementation, you plan actions to address the risk. How can you avoid it? How can you eliminate? How can you mitigate the risk? Right. So not all risks can be solved immediately. Okay, some of it you can avoid, some of it you can tackle, you can eliminate, or some of it you may end up to mitigate the risk. Okay, so you have to have a plan, implement the plan, right, and take action on it. So you have to check the effectiveness of the action. Does it work? Whether you avoid the breakdown. If you know that in certain months, in certain dates of the months or the certain months of the year, there are always short supply. You know that in certain parts of the world, there will be flood, there will be some natural disaster. So your suppliers cannot supply the materials or the components on time. So what you need to do? So it increases the risk that some of the parts won't be able to reach your facility on time. So you may want to mitigate, or you want to avoid the risk by having another supplier from another part of the world, okay, which does not prone to uh, disaster. So you can also learn from experience. The data about when you do risk-based thinking, risk-based management, it depend on your data. It is not something that you can just pick up easily, just create a risk management, right? So you have to learn from experience and try to improve on it. In terms of the benefits of having risk-based thinking, because risk-based thinking is one of the major elements in ISO or AS9100, okay, the benefit is that you will have a change of culture and mindset to be proactive, not to be reactive, okay. And then of course focus on priorities and what adds value to the company, because some of the activities are not or less important. It's not critical. Okay, you may want to focus on a more critical activities. Ensure alignment of resources to issues as well as to risk. Let's say you, from your data set of data, you know already from a critical point of a problem where you know already from your previous data that a problem will normally occur in this line of operation. So you may want to ensure there are enough resources. Maybe you need to improve in term of the equipment, improve the equipment, add more resources, and there are lots of action that can be done. You can also ensure greater knowledge of this as well as improves preparedness. Okay, so by doing that, you can reduce losses and increases the probability of reaching objective. Yep, meaning that you can increase probability of reaching objective by trying to resolve all the issues before it happened, right? And then reduces the probability of negative results. So those are the benefits of having risk-based thinking in AS9100 standards. What do we mean by process approach? Okay, what is the process approach? A process approach is basically a systematic management of processes and their interaction to achieve intended result. Okay, and all organizations use processes to set interrelated or interacting activities. They can use it to transform inputs into outputs. They can use it to build in checks to meet objectives and to promote continuous improvement, right? And the process approach integrates processes into a holistic system. For example, you have many processes. You have process A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, and it eventually lead to the output, to the product of the company. So basically, by having a process approach, you can then integrate it to become a holistic system. Okay, this is just an example, a snapshot of example of a process approach. Okay, if we look here, when we combine process approach and risk-based thinking, so the process approach incorporates risk-based thinking already, right? And risk-based thinking ensures risk is considered when establishing, implementing, and maintaining a management system, each process as well as each activity. So this is what a process approach and PDCA look where you can manage the process approach using the PDCA cycle, right? So if we can look here, when you do plan, you set the objective and build processes necessary to deliver results. When you do, you implement what was planned. When you check, you monitor and measure processes and results against the objective. And when you act, you take action to improve the results. Okay, let us look into the benefits of having a process approach. There are 6 benefits here. Okay, the first benefit is that you can increases accountability by having a process approach. You know what's going to happen next, and basically you will increases accountability. You will also definitely increases the ability to focus on key processes because you have already compartmentalized the process accordingly, and then improves internal integration of processes. So some processes are related to each other. More consistent business performance and results, as well as better use of resources, and finally, you can improve customer confidence in the organization, right? What processes to define for my organization? Okay, so each organization is required to define key business processes. So they must follow all the 4.4 requirements. Okay, it is related to the standards in 4.4 requirement, which is include the inputs, output, sequence, and interaction, resources needed, responsibilities, risks and opportunities, and related performance indicators. All right, and of course, the certified organization will be audited for the effectiveness. Okay, PEAR sheet, what we call it as the process effectiveness assessment report, will be established by the certification body auditor for all operation processes, right? So this is referring to another standard, 9101, AS9101. The organization also must maintain processes to manage functioning as well as working activities. And this can be done by determine the flow chart, routine maps, and procedures which are needed to ensure effective implementation. Okay, so in AS9100 also, they add on in terms of concept of change. The standard has become a dynamic framework. It's not static. It is being evolved, which evolve to enable organization to adapt to their changing environments or circumstances. Okay, so the change is addressed in several clauses. So if you would like to download in the AS9100, okay, you can see the QMS section 6.3 in terms of knowledge, organizational knowledge, okay, 7.16, controlling operation changes 8.1, as well as the requirements 8.24, and then changes to design and development 8.36, and production or service provision 856. So basically, concept of change will benefit the company by having business continuity when changes occur. Okay, we don't want when something occur in the policy and so on of the economics, so there's no business continuity. So AS9100 will be able to be used in order to prevent this from happening. Business has to be continued. Okay, and then consideration of potential consequences as well as QMS integrity will be maintained. In terms of organizational knowledge, all right, so knowledge specific to organization is gained by experience, where you have in terms of rationale to safeguard the organization from loss of knowledge. Sometimes people acquire the knowledge, you send people to training to acquire some knowledge, and suddenly staff turnover, staff quit, staff quit the job, move to other companies. So the company will loss of knowledge because of that. So we want to prevent it. We want to also encourage organization to acquire learning from experience, doing benchmarking, and share knowledge. So mentoring of newcomers. So basically, this is very important. Many of the companies, they will close down business because of they do not have the knowledgeable people. Okay, people when they move or they die, and they the knowledge goes disappear together with the people. So in terms of the implementation consideration, activities to benefit from lesson learned, identification of experts that are able to transfer knowledge. You have to have a training, okay, tutorial session, as well as implement succession planning activities. And in terms of benefits, it will continuity of business operation when personnel turnover will be uh, taken care, mitigates impact of losing personnel. Okay. Key changes in the 2016 AS9100, okay, where it includes aviation, space and defense requirement in terms of the product safety, in terms of counterfeit parts prevention. There are many cases um, parts are not genuine, being used in aircraft component and so on. So this will of course deter the usage of counterfeit parts. And then of course having risk, having awareness, human factors, as well as configuration management. These are the key changes in the recent AS9100 standards. If we look at the product safety, we will go one by one here, where we look into the requirement to address product safety consideration throughout the product life cycle. It's not just during the manufacturing process, and it is also the product life cycle, meaning that the design, the manufacturing, the service of the product, the maintenance, and at the end of the product life cycle. Okay, so the product safety will come into the picture. Okay, in terms of rationale, in industry acknowledgement of the importance of increasing safety, recognition of the 9100 certification by authorities is part of the EIAQG strategy, International Audit Quality Group strategy. So the definition here is that the state in which a product is able to perform, okay, that's what we mean by the product life cycle, to its design or intended purpose without causing unacceptable risk of harms to person or damage to property. So product safety is not about the product itself only, it also related to the people or the person who use it or the property that we install it. Okay, and these are examples. Probably you can read it through when I give you the slides later on, where we look into assessment of hazards and mitigation of associated risks, management of safety critical items, and analysis and reporting of occurred events affecting safety. Safety is quite important. It's very important elements in the engineering. An example probably we can also include here is that communication of these events and training of personnel with regards to the product safety. What are the benefits? The benefits of having product safety elements in a company that have AS9100 is basically to increase awareness of how organization contribute to product safety, minimize safety risk. It also ensure safety integrated and embedded with processes. It ensure flow down on product safety issues as well as the criteria. Okay. And then we want to look into prevention of counterfeit parts. And what we have already mentioned just now, it is a not genuine part. The rationale is to mitigate effects of growing threat of counterfeit and fraudulent product. It's not just about parts, it's also about material. Some material suppliers, part or component, they supply a different or what we call it as the counterfeit parts. It's not genuine. It doesn't have the same the same grade of material. Maybe it's not about having labeling, serial number, date code, documentation is should be traceable. So processes to consider, maybe having a training, obsolescence monitoring, control of acquiring parts, assuring traceability, and verification and test methodologies to detect counterfeit parts in the process. Okay. You also need to have a counterfeit part reporting requirement regarding non-conformance control, and of course the benefits is to minimize opportunity of counterfeit part deception, improve awareness regarding obsolescence to prevent counterfeit part risk, suppliers to evaluate and improve control of purchase to prevent fraud, and control of counterfeit parts prevents re-entry into the supply chain. So this is quite crucial to prevent counterfeit parts being used in aerospace uh, components or products. And then we look into risk management. We have already explained what is risk management all about. Okay, so it is related to risk in quality management system of the organization, and it is related to the operational processes. Okay, the benefit is basically addition of risk-based thinking across entire QMS planning and achieving plan result. Okay. So this is just an example of how the risk-based planning being done, where we have the probability of its happening and the impact to the processes. And then we look into awareness, okay, where AS9100 2016 requires the employees to be aware of the product and service conformity, product safety, as well as ethical behavior. Okay, what is awareness activity? Okay, which can be performed in different ways in terms of direct communication, communication campaign, identification of responsibilities, and formal training. Okay, so the benefits is basically you will have a leadership flow down and understanding to all employees with regard to the process that you want to conduct. Okay, importance of ethical behavior, right? Organization should also make their own determination of what is important to communicate to their employees in regard to ethics. Okay, so ethics, where probably some of you will learn in engineer and society. Okay, we have already touched in terms of the having what are the ethics of an engineer. So it's also applicable to this particular case. Human factors, right? Requirement to include human factors consideration in the root causes analysis of non-conformity. So it can accident can happen because of the people fatigue, emotions. So also have lack of understanding. There's a lot of human factors come into the picture with regards to the processes in engineering. Okay. In terms of the benefits, of course, when you have problems with humans, you need to do corrective action so that problem do not recur. In summary, okay, 9100 series changes. So there's clause 1, 2, and 3 is no requirement. Clause 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, where we have the P, D, C, and A elements in place for the quality management system. Right? Basically, this is just another segment on another standard, AS9110C, okay, which is a sector-specific standard geared towards organizations that are strictly provide maintenance and repair. All right, so just now 9100D is a general, okay, but for 9110C, if you are happen to work with an maintenance, repair, overhaul company that provide to the aerospace industry, whether it is aviation or the military sector, okay, defense sector, you will come across this particular standard, which define the quality management system requirement and offers additional comprehensive requirements criteria for overhaul facilities, maintenance, repair for the aircraft industry at all level of MRO. So I think the next one is a additional slide with regards to the another standard with respect to warehousing and distribution services, which is called 9120B. But the basis is a 9100. It is a most of the company need to have AS9100, and then they can have a specific standard design for their processes. Okay, so that's all for my sharing for today.